Hi everyone! So today's discussion, we're going to focus on principles of caregiving, philosophy of respect. And you learned briefly about this when you met Magda Gerber in her video, and in the PowerPoint, respectful caregiving. But we're going to go into a little bit more detail in this PowerPoint. So, and this discussion will help guide you in your observation assignment that you're going to need to complete. There's a couple observations, but one in particular regarding interactions. It will also help you with your discussions online. So, it's going to talk about, you'll be looking for 3 R's. So, relationships, interactions, and the 3 R's. Relationships grow from interactions. So, everything we do comes from who we're working with, comes from who we're engaging with, who the children and the adults in the environment. Caregiving routines are opportunities for these 3R interactions that we're going to go into more detail. So a 3R interaction is 1, respectful, 2, responsive, and 3, reciprocal. So reciprocal, I'm going to go back. So respectful interactions are ways that you can, for example, get down at their level, talk in a calm, relaxing voice versus yelling at someone. Being respectful with an infant is the same as you would want someone to be with you. So are you speaking to a child as if you would want to be spoken to, just like you would speak to an adult? Being respectful of their space, so not always being so close to them and giving them space to roll around or crawl or climb, and not always coming in close contact. And also extremely important, and especially with the RIE philosophy, but with quality care interactions, is getting down at their level, making eye contact with them, letting them know, I'm going to pick you up now, I'm going to hold you now, I'm going to change your diaper. So all of which are respectful. If someone were to come up to you and just pick you up out of nowhere, and then, I'm going to change your diaper now, but they just came up from behind and picked you up, that wouldn't be really respectful. I don't know if you would like that very much, but I know I wouldn't. So I would want someone to come in front of me and let me know. Maybe put your hands out in front and say, I'm going to pick you up now. You ready to go get your diaper changed? Something like that. Responsive is where you are responding to their needs. So if they say they're tired, and you help them for nap. If they cry because they're hungry, then you let them know you're going to get their bottle for them. And it's responding to their needs in a respectful way. So it's not, okay, I'll get to you when I can get to you, but even if you can't get to them right away because you have other children you're caring for, it's letting them know, you know what? I hear that you're crying. I hear that you're hungry. As soon as I'm done caring for this child, and as soon as I'm done taking care of Johnny, then I'm going to get your bottle as well. Something to that is, and even though they're young and infants, and it may seem like they're not quite understanding, they understand a lot more than we give them credit for. Another example of being responsive is when a child smiles, you smile back. If a child reaches up to their arms, you reach down and pick them up. So it's just responding to their needs. Reciprocal is a 2-way interaction. So again, all 3 of these require interactions, right? But reciprocal is when a baby smiles, you smile back. When a baby coos, you maybe coo back. When a child asks a question, you respond. And even if they ask a question without actual words, right, they might let you know they're hungry without actually saying that. And so you're reciprocating. So it's a 2-way interaction. They share something and you share something back. So when you're going to watch some video observations in the course, and you'll be looking for those interactions. Okay, we did that one. So we're also going to discuss the 10 principles of caregiving or philosophy of respect. One of the activities you're going to be kind of drawing it. We're going to be playing a little game with it, but to go briefly through them. So there are 10 principles. Principle 1 is involving infants and toddlers in things that concern them. So we talked a little bit about that because that goes along with being respectful and getting down at their level, letting them know I'm going to pick you up. Involving things that concern them means you don't provide distractions for children during caregiving routines. So for example, if you're changing a diaper, they don't really need a mobile over them to distract them. Some people I know give them an iPad. Being respectful of the child and involving them in things that concern them means you're going to include them. I'm going to change your diaper now. Would you like to hold your clean diaper? Can you lift up your legs for me? Can you help remove your socks for me? Including them in the whole process. So you make it a team effort. It's not something you're doing to children, but something you're doing with children. Keeping them involved in their interactions. Maybe you're singing with them, talking with them, but not trying to just get the job done, but including them in it. and using everyday experiences with those 3 R's. Invest in quality time is number 2. So focusing on the individual toddlers and infants, and you learned about this before when Magda Gerber talked about not busying yourself or unbusying yourself, taking the phone off the hook. So being completely, fully present, distinguishing between wants something and wants nothing, which I think is on the next one. Yeah. So with that, when you're investing in quality time, I want something interaction, and you will be looking for this in your observation. So I just want to make sure I can explain it in a way that you understand. And if not, feel free to reach out to me. A want something interaction is a specific need, a physical need like diapering, feeding, bathing. It's something that's caregiver initiated. So I'm going to feed you now. I'm going to change you now. And that's a want something, where the quality time, where you're not just doing it to them again. You're having quality time where you're focused on them. I'm going to change your diaper and I'm going to talk you through it. I'm going to give you a bottle now and I'm going to make eye contact while I hold you in my arms and make you part of this process. So it's not just I'm going to line up all the babies and just spoon feed them in like an assembly line. It's actually having quality time. A want nothing quality time is a little bit different. So that's responding to children rather than initiating an action. Or an interaction. So that's responding to a child, where a child might be sitting on the floor and they're engaged in a toy, and then all of a sudden they turn around and they look for you and they make eye contact and they might smile. That would be a want nothing, and you respond back. Another one could be a child, maybe they're sitting next to you and they just reach over and they put their hand next to you, or maybe they put their head on you, or they climb into your lap. So it's an interaction where they don't have a specific caregiver-initiated need. They just need some love and some attention, or they just want to make sure you're there and you're present. And so that it becomes quality because you're identifying their need, you're identifying that they have some sort of emotional connection that they're trying to connect. Principle 3 is learning each child's unique ways of communicating and teaching yours. So it's letting them know, it's responding to their cries, their words, their movements, their facial expressions. It's teaching your words and language through context. So I see you're really sad right now. I see you're really you're missing your mom right now, or I see it really makes you mad when he takes your toys from you. So it's just connecting words to your to their words, even if they don't quite have them yet. You don't really need repetition or endless chatter. It's not we're not having to entertain our babies. We're not having this ongoing babble or baby talk or that baby ease. It's just talking to them as you want to be spoken to. I'm going to pause for a second. Sorry about that. My family was in the background. So then sometimes people think that they have to constantly talk at babies or entertain them, or because they're just laying there. How could they be getting any information in here? And really, there's so much more to it. So it's learning their unique ways, learning that when they're struggling or when they're happy or when they need you. And that's number 3. Number 4 is investing time and energy in the whole person. So you don't focus on just cognitive development, but you focus on physical development, language, everything. So when you're playing with them, when you're engaging with them, you're focusing on everything. And sometimes we put a lot of focus into physical, and so we're going to provide things for them to climb or what have you. But really, you're focusing on everything. So the idea that they need sensory stimulation, that they need to be able to hear, touch, smell, everything that's going on in their environment. So it's not just what they're learning all the time, but helping provide a space for them to crawl and to roll and to climb, and helping to soft fabrics around for that sensory that they can reach and grab, or things that they can pour and dump. So it's just remembering that you're focusing on the whole child, not just one area. Respect infants and toddlers as worthy people. So infants and toddlers are not objects, which I know you all know that, but the best way to gain respect is to model respect. We respond to what children need, not what you think they need. So just, again, speaking to children as you want to be spoken to. So a lot of times some of the things that come out of our mouths is pretty crazy. I've heard, like a way that you would talk to an adult, or how we talk to children. Sometimes we, I was trying to share an example because, well, one of my pet peeves is, and this is probably going to spark some conversation maybe, one of my pet peeves is when people say no thank you. I don't know how you feel about that, but if an adult comes up to you and they're like, no thank you, you can walk away, it doesn't really make me feel all warm and fuzzy inside, and it's really confusing actually, because we do try to avoid in quality programs using the word no. Instead we say stop, and we're very clear about what we need them to stop, because no doesn't really explain anything to them. No what? No, you don't want me to what? Instead of, like, it's usually if they're climbing on the table and you don't want them to climb on the table, instead of saying no, it's like they're still going to climb because they don't know what you're talking about. So you would say stop, it's tables aren't for climbing, but you could go climb outside on the climbing structure, or you can go climb on these mats that we have over here. And when you say no thank you, it's like thank you is a positive, but no is a negative. So now you have a positive and a negative combined, and that's really confusing as well. And it isn't telling you, generally no thank you is used for, would you like a cup of coffee? No thank you, I've already had some today. But how is that the same thing as, I don't want you to hit my body? No thank you. What you want them to stop, right? It's not okay to hit my body. I see you're really upset, so if you need to hit something, you can hit this pillow, or you can use your words and tell me you don't like that. But when we say respect infants and toddlers as worthy people, we want to be really clear. Clear as kind. That's kind of the new catchphrase, right? So the more clear we are, the more kind, and vice versa. And the quicker they're going to respond to what we need them to respond to, as far as especially being safe. So I guess that's kind of the point. Be honest about your feelings, so don't pretend to feel something you don't. If a child hits you, oh, that's so cute. No, it's stop your body. It's not okay to hurt my body. I don't like it when you hurt my body. I'm not going to let anyone else hurt your body. So being honest, I'm not saying be rude or disrespectful or yell at them, but don't pretend to feel something you're not feeling. And don't pretend to feel something you do. So children need to be around real people, infants and toddlers included. So be who you are in an appropriate manner. Model the behavior you want to teach. So do as I do. So for example, if you don't want them to climb on the furniture, then don't sit on the tables, or don't use the chairs to get into the cabinets. If you want them to learn how to share, then when a caregiver comes in and says, do you have this? Can I borrow it? You share it with them. You're modeling sharing. So be careful not to model the type of behavior you want to eliminate. So, example, if you expect a child to be gentle with each other, then you need to be gentle with them. If you don't want them to yell at you, then you shouldn't yell at them. So, I think that's but believe it or not, it's harder than it sounds in some places. Number 8 is recognize problems as learning opportunities and let infants and toddlers try to solve them on their own. So giving them time and freedom to work out their problems. If they get stuck under a table, instead of just running over there and saving them and pulling them out, you're helping them. By watching, you're letting them know, I'm right here, and if you need me, I'll be available. But it looks like you've got this. I saw that you were able to climb in on your own, so I'm guessing I think you can do it. I know you can do it. And if not, I'm right here. So remembering that we don't need to save them from everything. If 2 children are rolling around on the floor and have an argument, as long as they're not really hurting each other, step back and see if the children can figure it out on their own. If they're doing a puzzle and they just can't get that last piece in and they can't figure it out, instead of going up to them and turning the piece for them, scaffold it, give them some questions, and what have you tried it a different way, or what other ways could you try it, or instead of just doing it for them. In the same respect as when a child says, make me a snake out of my Play-Doh, or or draw me a flower, we're taking away their learning opportunities. So try to be really cautious and sit back and ask them questions to support them versus interrupting their learning. Number 9 is building security by teaching trust. So be reliable, be there on time, be there every day. And if you say you're going to put them down for nap after you put Johnny down, then put them down for nap after you put Johnny down. So just build trust. Because when we build trust, they build trust in us, and that's really important. Be concerned, the last one, about the quality of development at each stage. So children develop at different rates. And so it's not about when a child gets there, but how. So it's not that Joey rolled faster than Jennifer, but that, wow, look at, he rolled, that's amazing, and how did he get there? So it's not about, it's not focusing on how fast a child develops, but focusing on the fact that they got there on their own. And as we get to physical development, we'll talk about that even more. But so you just want to appreciate where they're at. If you're always focused on where they're going to get next, they'll never achieve it. Developmentally appropriate practices. So developmentally appropriate practice is based on research, based on the idea that each child develops at a different rate, and so we're developing our curriculum based off that. So we know that children between the ages of 6 to 12 months are generally able to do X, Y, and Z, or 12 to 18 months are generally able to do X, Y, and Z. And so it's building your curriculum based off what is research has proven to be developmentally appropriate for that age group that are in your classroom at that time. Individually appropriate practice is now focusing, instead of the age group, now you're focusing on the child. So yes, it may say that 6 to 12-month-olds can roll over, but maybe your 8-month-old isn't rolling over yet. That's okay. So how do we develop our curriculum to focus on the needs of that 8-month-old versus all the children in your class? And so sometimes your curriculum is going to vary. It doesn't mean you're going to have, if you have 9 children, you're going to have 9 different curriculum activities going on. But when you're developing your curriculum, you're looking at, okay, so this activity meets these children's needs, and this activity meets these children's needs. And it may just mean that this activity might be a little more challenging for some children, and that's okay too. Or it might be that it might be a little bit easy for other children, as long as it meets everybody in the room at some point. Culturally appropriate practice is when you are meeting the children's needs and their culture represented in your classroom. So it doesn't mean that you're going to teach Spanish to the entire classroom if there's no one speaks Spanish in your classroom, or French, or what have you, or putting up signs or posters about culture when there's no one in that classroom that meets that culture. It also means you're focusing on the true culture of the classroom. So you're asking the parents in that classroom, what's your culture, and how do you represent your culture? I'm not going to go to Lakeshore and buy some poster that says this is what a child dresses like in your culture, because that's not accurate. So it's really using the materials and the information from the families in your program. All right. So that ends that discussion. If you have questions, feel free to email me, and you can also share them in the discussion board this week. Have a great week.